When I have money on me, I feel rich. I started with $100. Now I have $3,000 on every given day. I can buy whatever I want in my purse. And then the first thing people will say is, oh, that's risky. Be careful. Why? You could lose it. Ah, y'all think you could lose money.
Has done a lot for me in the last few months, really like the last 2 years when I've known her for 2 years now. Her and I are in another mastermind together. And I'll never forget this, okay? So we're in this, where were we at? We were in New York. We were in Manhattan at an event. And there she was right there. So I'm going to bring her in so she can hear this story. Okay, so she's joining us. She just joined us, okay? So I'm going to bring her in just a minute, Shamina. I was at an event with her in New York. And at this event, each one of us in the room get up on the stage and we give a 30-second spiel about who we are. Okay. Now, Shamina gets up on the stage, and I've known her for a while at this point. And she gets up there. She says, I help women become unapologetically rich. And I thought to myself, dang, that's brilliant marketing. That's message is right on. And then I thought to myself, I want to become unapologetically rich. Anybody else want to become unapologetically rich? And the reason why is because when we're rich, when we're wealthy, when we have more money, we can do a whole lot more good with it. Not to mention, I want a house with a pool. So let's be real here. All right. Shamina, welcome on. Let me find you. There she is.
Everybody, I haven't done my hair like this in a long time. I was coughing, so that's why I was a little bit late. Thank you so much for everybody and your time today. Thank you, Kylie, for bringing me on today and for being able to share my belief systems and my gifts. For those of you new to me, hi, I'm Shamina Taylor, and I mentor women so that they can become multimillionaires, unapologetically rich, so they can literally live the life that they want. And most of the women that I work with, they are like you. They are go-getters. They are people who are in the upper percent of how they perform. They're extraordinary. And when I saw that it only took a really small amount of time to shift people into a limitless belief system, I saw that I was onto something, you know? So today's chat is going to be mostly about what does it mean to be an expander of your wealth consciousness? How can you take what you're doing right now and not have to do more, but to receive more? Because a lot of the times what's happening with women right now and men that I work with, they feel I've got to do more. I've got to work more hours in the day. I've got to perform more. I have to figure more out because that's the only way that I know how is to keep exchanging, my time for money. And what I've found is when you start expanding the way you think, your offers change, your business changes, the way money shows up into your life changes, the way that you think and feel about money changes. You literally have a cap right here. All of us do, at some level, until you find somebody to say, hey, we don't need that cap. Let's expand. So what wealth consciousness is your belief systems around wealth. That's pretty much it. The more that you can expand your belief systems around wealth, the more consciousness you have. If you understand that all of us are conscious beings, how many of you would understand that? How many of you understand that we are all conscious beings? Yeah. Okay. So, we're all conscious beings. Let me see. I want to be able to see all of you guys, even though you've got me pinned, I can just put the gallery on. It doesn't change anything. So we're all conscious beings. And if you guys come on camera, I can see more of your faces because then I can connect to you. We're all conscious beings.
Come on camera, get inside that chat box.
Yeah. And when you're a conscious being, what happens is your consciousness and your awareness expands. We're humans having a spiritual experience, right? So remember, I don't know if you guys know anything about me, but I used to be an attorney for 20 something years. And then I had a spiritual awakening and shit basically hit the fan. And now I'm like, okay, what's going on with life right now? And I realized I had another calling and I pivoted in my life and I started showing up in this energy. That's for another day, a longer story. Maybe we'll get to it today. But I realized that everything is energy, and being somebody who needs to be able to see evidence of what I'm thinking and feeling, I was always looking for proof. When I started going into a deeper dive of working on myself and realizing like my thoughts and my emotions and my belief systems were creating everything in my life, I realized that I could be a conscious creator in my life. Everything holds a consciousness and an energetics, right? What's other? Everything has energy, but there's a consciousness in our beingness, consciousness in our thoughts, consciousness in our awareness. And as I started doing some more deeper work on my own, because I was on the spiritual journey, by the way, I didn't have any money at the time. I was going through a divorce and starting all over again. My funds were very low considering the kind of life that I used to live. So I was definitely starting all over again. I started realizing when I would shift through a belief system or I would move through an emotion, the thing that I was desiring would literally show up like immediately. I was like, huh, this is interesting. I'm like, how is it that it showed up so quickly? Well, if you believe that you can attract and you can call in anything that you want, once you start becoming the attractor, the beingness, then you can start attracting things into your life. And whatever you've heard before today, I ask that you just keep the most open mind ever. I might say things that trigger you. I might say things that you go, she's full of shit or whatever. Just listen to me with with open mind because you're going to get something. Because there's going to be a consciousness in this container. It's going to be a consciousness, an awareness that's going to happen to you right in this moment. Some of you may go out and get a new client. Some of you may make money, and there's something to be had here. So just be aware of what's happening. So even if you're like, I already know this, I already know this, I already know this, being in that energy, you'll never shift your consciousness or your awareness when you say, I already know this. I wake up a student every day and I go to bed a teacher. So this is what I just ask you to be aware of what's happening. So when I started seeing like, oh gosh, my beliefs around something changed, my consciousness changed, more came to me. Things started coming to me. It just happened like this, like clockwork. And I'm pretty new to bringing my business online. 2020 is when I went all in on my business. And in June of 2020, I said a year from now, I'm going to be a millionaire. Well, June 2021, my Stripe account crossed $1 million. And I have a video talking about it on Instagram. I was scared shitless saying it. There's so many things that you don't realize that you are capping yourself because of the way you're thinking, your belief systems, and they're not even yours. They're things that have been passed down from generations or your parents' generations. You know, my mom would tell me I could waste money. I remember when I started making a lot of money, I said, Mom, do not tell me I can waste money because if you tell me that, then I believe I can. So I need you to stop because I know money's all over. It's infinite. It's all over. It's everywhere, right? And she's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was doing that. I just was like a mom. I was just trying to make sure you save it. I said, yeah, but money needs to be circulated. I can still save it, but I can still have it. Once I started getting really neutral about my belief systems around wealth and money, I had power over money, not money having power over me. And this was a shift in consciousness because I started saying like, okay, what were my belief systems around wealth? What was my money beliefs? What did I believe to be true for my own self? A lot of the times I work with highly successful women, they'll have the money start coming when they start working with me, and then they're like, I'm not supposed to be this rich. Like I need to find a place for this money to go out the back door because it'll come in and go out just as fast as it does. Some of you are in feast and famine. You have a good month, bad month, good month, bad month. You don't have this consistency because you have a belief system that if I make money, I need to not. Money could be bad. This is the one that just came up recently, one of my mastermind calls, or money can be bad. Oh, okay, if money's bad, then I don't want it. You know, people with money are greedy. Like just simple things like that you don't even understand that are like consuming you on a subconscious level. So when you're working around expanding your wealth, like it is like law. When someone comes to work with me, they will have their highest cash months and they'll be at a new standard because I'll lift the limits and I'll expand them into what is possible for them. Because right now you're doing things with blinders on. You're doing things with this set of belief systems on. So you're going to get what you're going to get with what you know, with where you are, right? The moment that you have new information, it's like you expand into another level. You're like, oh, well, I didn't know this was even possible. Oh, I didn't even know I could shift this belief. So what wealth consciousness is telling you that all the wealth that you want is right here. It's all right here. My brand's called the Quantum Woman. I believe the quantum field has everything. It has no lack. It has everything that we desire. It's our job to get into alignment with that belief system and to the amount of money that's out there. When I said that I was going to be a millionaire in a year, well, guess what? I didn't sit there and hold on to the end result. I sat there and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be a millionaire. I got up like a millionaire. I dressed like a millionaire. However I thought a millionaire was. I just started getting into the state of what a millionaire was because the universe doesn't know the difference between $1 or $1,000,000. It's the consciousness of what do I believe true to myself. And many times when you're selling things and when you're offering products and when you're working with clients, You live in a very limited consciousness because you're like, well, I don't want to work with those kind of clients anymore. Well, I really feel like I'm giving my work away. You over deliver in a lot of the things that you do. You're constantly like undercharging for what it is that you are. You don't have a big enough dream to like, okay, it's like $250,000 someone put down there. Okay. I don't know if I could survive on that at this point. You know what I mean? That's great for you, but I'm like, well, I got to this level of wealth now where I'm like, I want to fly first class. I want to buy whatever I want to buy. I want to go where I want to go. I don't want money to tell me that I can't do something. So I literally have to change my relationship, one, with the money in my life. And I believe that the wealth is limitless out there. They're printing money right now. Money is everywhere. It's whether or not you believe you are the one that's going to have access to it. How many of you have money belief right now that you know that literally targets you all day long? Put it in the chat, because I guarantee you, your another sister or brother inside this community has the same one, and you think you're unique with it, and you realize, I don't really, why the heck do I even have this? And especially if you guys have a little bit of a religious background, that shit's rampant all over. You know, it's like you got to give it away. You've got to say you want to go save everybody in Jesus. Then you could be wealthy. And then, you know, you have all these conditions on why you get to have money, right? And so I have more than I ever expected in life from where I came from. So I struggle with not being grateful. Well, guess what? You get to be grateful and more. Simple like that. You get to be grateful and more. You get to be grateful for what you have and more. And so I have a saying in my business, more is coming. Because if you limit yourself with like being grateful for what you have now, you'll never get to the possibility of what could possibly come next. Because you're sitting here going, well, this is all I've got. I'll tell you, the clients will come in and you'll stay right here at this level. The bills will come in and you'll stay right here at this level. The expenses, the bills, the clients, you, and then you'll be like, why am I not there yet? Because of this belief system, it'll keep you here, right? And then you've got a past experience with like an emotional state from the past that you keep repeating over and over again. That will be your truth on a daily basis. So many of you, just out of curiosity, how many of you carry cash? How many of you don't carry cash? Sometimes I do. Many people don't even look at how many of you look at your bank account every day? Look at your Stripe account. How many of you look at wherever your processing is? How many of you are actually in a relationship with the wealth in your life? No. Most of you said no. Really? I look at my bank account every day. I look at my Stripe account every day. I did it too when I didn't have any money in there. I started carrying a lot of cash because, well, when I have money on me, I feel rich. I started with $100. Now I have $3,000 on every given day. I can buy whatever I want in my purse. And then the first thing people will say is, oh, what do you guys say if I said I had that much money in my purse? I'll just tell you, I'll show you where your thought process is. I carry 3,000, maybe 5,000 cash in my purse. What's the first thing you'd say? Just someone be honest and drop in the chat. That's risky. Be careful. Why? You could lose it. Y'all think you could lose money. You all think that someone's going to come after me and take my money. How often is someone taking your money? That's the relationship you have with wealth. That's the relationship you have with money. You fear it. You fear losing it. You fear it going away, and you fear someone coming to take it. But really, if you're a millionaire, what's 5 G's on you? If you're a multimillionaire, it's just cash. I love paying for cash and things, but there's so many beliefs that you have that are hidden under the surface. Just in your behavior, I can go in and see how you treat money, how you operate, and I can find the loopholes of why your business is not at the level that it should be at, why you're not living out your life the way you want to, why you're only taking maybe one vacation a year, why you're not buying things out of a desired state only if you need it. How many of you would never buy a Louis Vuitton purse? Just out of curiosity. Who would never, like, forget it? No, me, all of you. So, okay, never. I have probably 15 in my closet. I buy one once a month sometimes. They know my name there. Listen, only buying things because you need them Because guess what? Need and struggle equate at how you do money. If I didn't struggle or work really hard, guess what? I didn't earn it. So if you went to buy something, and guess what? That's a waste of money, right? True? How dare I go buy something where I could just put that money in the bank account? Why would I buy a $5,000 purse? Why would I ever do something like that? That's ridiculous. And again, what I'm telling you is going to butt up against your consciousness and your belief systems. She's crazy. What the hell is she talking about? Well, she has millions. Well, I didn't, but I practiced these things so I could have more money. When I'm launching, the first thing I go do is spend money. I went and bought $1,200 worth of perfume like a couple of days ago because I could. I mean, the lady at Neiman Marcus was just like, holy shit, I just hit the jackpot with this lady, and sorry, I sometimes cuss, I apologize. But she's like, wow, look at this. And then the day before that, I don't know what else did I buy. I bought something else. And because I want money to know, and I want myself to know that I am not living in scarcity when it comes to wealth. I know that I could spend it and it will come back to me. And many of you don't know that. Many of you don't know that. And so that's what hinders you from the belief system that you can have more. I had a client come work with me, and she drove a Porsche. She had a really nice car. Most of the time people will spend money on a car because they see it as a value, they see it as status. They can justify the purchase of it, even though that is not an investment. Once you drive off the lot, it's going down. But in their minds, it is, like this is something that it's a staple in their lives. True. You spend money on a car. Yeah, exactly. So when you think about it with wealth that way, what I believe is that we are not allowing our desires to follow through with what we believe is true in the world. I'm not telling you to go spend money you don't have, because that's ridiculous. But a lot of the times, people who have money and don't spend it have more of a scarcity and broke mindset than people who don't have money. Because if you don't believe that you can go spend your money, then you don't have control over it. It has control over you. This is also true when you're making investments, when you're making, investments into, maybe mentors or programs. Well, is this going to work? I need to guarantee it's going to work, or else I'm not going to give my money. Well, the guarantee is you, but you're always looking for something else to solidify and make sure that when you spend your money, I'm going to get it back. And that is not an expensive way of thinking, right? When you get to a level where, you invest in something and maybe you get one piece of information from it, that one piece of information could make you millions. But what happens when you have a limited consciousness around wealth? You're always looking for, what did I get out of it? Whenever I get on a call with somebody, they're like, what's included? What's everything? I need to know all the things. What's everything? I want to know everything. Give me everything. Because their mind is always going into that wounded masculine state. Show me everything. I need to know. Am I getting a good exchange for my money? Is this a really good investment? And meanwhile, many of the times they don't even go through all the things that there was offered. They just want to see that they got more. This is why bonuses look good when you're selling things. You offer everything plus a kitchen sink to people with limited mindset. They're sold. But someone at a higher conscious of wealth, they're like, well, it's 50 grand. We're coming in. You have one call. Sometimes that's all they need is ask 3 questions. So it's where you want to be with who you are and how you want wealth to come into your life. You might be absolutely happy where you are. You might be like, you know what? I have a really good life and I have money in the bank. We can go on a trip a year. I have my car. I can pay for some things. I might buy a new outfit once in a while. And you might not desire anything beyond that. Personally, for me, I want to have whatever life is going to offer me. If someone's got it and it's out there, I always say, if she can, I can. If somebody has it out there, well, me too. Like, me too. And a lot of the times how I created a lot of my wealth is I would see somebody with something and I'm like, well, I'm going to have that too. That's just how it's going to be. This Cartier bracelet, I remember when I started, and bracelets. I remember when I started, I would see some of the women online. I'm like, dangling their stuff. I'm like, I want that too. Well, sure enough, when I made $1 million in the year, I went to Cartier and I met the lady. If you're in Chicago, I got a lady in Cartier, and I'm like, I'm here. I was going to only buy one bracelet, but I was like, okay, let me buy more. That I've never spent $28,000 on myself in one shop. one shop. On a mentor or buying a program and course, no problem. And I realized that I had to really practice what I was preaching. I'm like, oh, this is like such a big move to do. But every time I look down at these bracelets, which is a lot in the day, I remember how wealthy I am. I remember that, wow, you paid cash for this. You worked and you earned this. And this is something that activates me. It makes me realize that I'm not a limitation. I'm not in scarcity. There's so many other things in this world that are around me. Do I have $1 million home? Yes. And I paid for it on my own, but when I was going through my divorce, I didn't think I could pay for it. I thought I was going to lose my house. I had to shift my beliefs around what was possible for me because I have one of two options. It was going to work or it wasn't going to work. Either I was going to get wealthy or I wasn't going to get wealthy. I did another thing. I put a G-Wagon on my phone for the longest time, and this might not be your thing, and people who have limitations will tell me I'm crazy, but I opened my phone every day because everything that I want to create, I program my subconscious. And I remember my son's friends were like, when's your mom getting her G-Wagon? And like, I'm like, you little shit, and all of my mastermind ladies, they would go buy a car and like a G-Wagon, they take pictures, send it to me. People were like, we just saw your car, because I was already in the belief that it was mine. But guess what? During quarantine or during that time period, last year or whatever, they weren't making them anymore. There was something with I don't know, a computer thingy. And so they weren't making the cars not very often. And I remember my mom was in town for Mother's Day and she said, let's go look at them. Or it wasn't Mother's Day, it was one of those weekends. I said, Mom, really? She's like, yeah, let's go take a look. I'd never looked at them before. So I remember walking into the dealership and I was like, only rich people come here. And then my mom was like, we're looking. She's like, you are rich people. I was like, oh my gosh, that's true. But I already had another belief that I was sitting there, that I couldn't be in there. I thought only doctors, my brother's a doctor. I only thought those kind of people, even though I was a lawyer, only thought like cardiologists bought those types of cars, like ones that make a lot of money. And I was making more than those doctors now, but I was like, it just had that belief system still in my head. I remember going in there and Jim, he's my sales guy, and he saw me and the guy knew right away. They had 8 coming in and I could have one of the 8 to specialize. That was it. That was all. I did pay a premium, a very big premium. Ordered my car. It started getting assembled. My car showed up in July. I paid $70K over market for the vehicle. It was $295,000 and I paid cash for it. And I tell you, every time I drive that car, I am the wealthiest bitch on the road. I feel it. It activates me. I can't explain it. I'm not saying you need to do this, but I'm saying I started off with something small and I'm giving you an example. There's things right now that you are limiting yourself because of the way you're thinking, how you're living your life. You're not wearing new underwear. You're like literally taking your shampoo bottles and going like this, squeezing it out, putting the water in there, swishing it around again, making 5 more. I mean, I did that too. I grew up with immigrant parents. Yes, I did all these things too. Cut the mold out, the cheese part, because cheese is still good. I don't eat cheese, but my mom does that shit. I'm like, it's not that old. It's not that stale. We'll still eat it. I don't know if I want to get guac today because that's another $2. I just got a charge from the bank for 30 something dollars. It was something that you did wrong. Oh, I shouldn't have done that, but it's my fault. Or you have bills that are outstanding right now that you didn't pay because you're just thinking, well, I'm going to pay it the last of the month. Like you just don't realize how your money mindset is set up that is affecting the flow of cash coming into your life. Is everybody still with me? How are you guys enjoying this so far? I'm like saying things that are really a little or like, or is it good or is it not good? Let me know.
So I'll tell you that when we started, when we jumped on, I had them in the chat box, write down or state what would be the dream number of income or sales they made in a month. So not a year, in a month. Because you challenged me with this a couple weeks ago. Because I'm thinking, $1 million a year. I get it. I got it. It's there for me. Then you're like, what about $1 million a month? Wait a second. That's something I never thought about. Right. So they wrote down their 25K or 100K or whatever it is. And then I got back in the chat box and we said, okay, now add a 0 to it.
I love that. That's amazing.
How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
It is just literally a limit that we put on in our own heads. If I could just get the 25K. And then the closer you get to that 25K, it's like, oh, you just can't get there. But then when you expand and you go 250K, oh, now you pass that 25K really fast.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have all the systems in place. You just have to expand. Kylie, when she came to start working with me, I've known her for a while. I think 100 and something thousand was her most of the cash that she'd received or whatever in the month. I don't know what it was exactly, but she closed out with $400,000 last month. And I'm just saying, like, when you start doing this work, it's like, she's like, oh, and she was 39 weeks pregnant. Like, she delivered a baby like 3 days later. So, I mean, there's no excuses, right? And she just was like, wow, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think I was totally limiting myself to how I was thinking. And so, being an expander, I was like, well, where your beliefs are, let's move through them. I share these things with you because there's stories that you have that are running rampant inside your head on a subconscious that you're thinking about that you actually believe are true. And they really aren't. Like the things this, I'm telling you these stories about me so you can go and see, are you going like this? Yeah, girl, let's just do this. Or what the hell is she talking about? Because if you have what the hell she's talking about, guess what? You just found your resistance. You just found where your problems are because you're not in the unlimited thinking. You have limited thinking about what wealth is. So anytime you're judging something I'm saying, you're actually finding where you're stuck. You're finding out because your human will go, yeah, I want to add a zero, I want to make $250,000 a month. But then your human will go, well, how? How is this going to happen? There's no way this is going to happen. That's not up to you. It's not up to you to really sit there and decide like how it's going to happen. It's up to you to have the belief and the faith in it, get rid of the belief systems, and then operate your business. That's really how it works. You know, before I started expanding my consciousness, what I did was I didn't have a lot of this money to go buy a G-Wagon. I didn't have that stuff. I had matcha tea from Starbucks. And this is a really great story because you're going to find what your matcha tea story is. And you're going to be able to work through where your limitations are. And if you come from a family where penny pinching and not, reusing and all the things that are frugal, I get it. I have that family too. But at the same time, you get to change generational wealth with your family and your children right now. My kids, they live in a limitless life right now. They do know they need to work for their money, but they also know that they can have and do anything they want to. It stopped with me, that now my kids have this expansiveness now. And I'm not teaching them that money's limited. I'm not teaching them that they can't have the things that they want, right? So money, unfortunately, to get a lot of things that we want in life, to have that freedom, we need money. We need the cash to purchase it. You can't just go and be like, well, I'd like to have this. Well, where's the cash for it? Because people aren't taking free stuff right now. They're like wanting you to exchange something for it. And it's just energy, right? So matcha tea. About 11 years ago, I was in California. It was 11, 10. And I used to bodybuild. I used to be a bodybuilder. And so I limited the way that I was eating and drinking. And I gave up dairy back then too. So I was just drinking coffee. And I realized like I was addicted to this coffee. So I'm like, I got to ditch the coffee because I don't like when something has control over me or hold on me because that means that I'm under the mercy of it. So I'm like, coffee's got to go. So I remember being in California and I remember leaving an event I was at. Can't remember what it was for. And I went to the airport and I said, what can I do instead of, I don't know, it was caramel macchiato, without all the milk in it. And she's like, you could do matcha tea. I was like, what is that? And she's like, well, let me put some scoops of matcha together for you. And she's like, what size drink do you usually get? I said, a grande. She puts together. I said, can we throw a little stevia in there? She's like, throw stevia in there. I drank it. She's like, that'll be 80 cents. I was like, what? What? 80? What else? She's like, no, it's 80. I thought I won the lottery. I was winning the jackpot at Starbucks. I was like, are you kidding me? Like 80 cents? I'm like, sign me up. And you know what? It tastes delicious. And I've been drinking matcha tea ever since. Fast forward like 3 or 4 years, because I was getting away with 80 cents everywhere. Everybody like, this is awesome. Like, oh, it'll be 80 cents. I'm like, 4 scoops of matcha steamed in hot water with one stevia, 80 cents. Okay, cool. Then Starbucks apparently caught on to all of that. They're like, we have to charge you more. It's got to be $2.75. It was for like an iced green tea or something. I don't know. It wasn't even on the menu. I was like, what? I go, no. I would fight with people when I go to Starbucks. I'm like, why? How do you dare you charge me more for this? This is ridiculous. Like, you cannot charge me more for this. I was paying 80 cents. Nothing has changed. Well, we steam it. You were steaming it at 80 cents. Like, what the heck? I would fight with people. Every single Starbucks I would go to. I'm like, I need the regional manager. I was like, you could see my victimness coming through. Fast forward couple more years, I got used to the 2 something. It went to 3 something. Again, I saw myself triggered, like someone was betraying me and taking advantage of me. I wanted the manager. I was calling corporate. I was like really ridiculous about it every time I went somewhere. I got used to 3 something. Fast forward, $4. Same thing again. I started getting my kids were like, oh my gosh, we're going to Starbucks again. This is so bad. Mom's gonna do her thing there. And I did. And I would scream, and there would be lines down the road. And I was like, what's going on here? Like, why are these people trying to take advantage of me? Like, I don't understand. And I really loved this drink. I loved going there every day. It was like my favorite thing to do. Fast forward 2020. We are now at $5.38 for the same drink. I remember being in line, and that's when all you did was get out of the house to go do something. Starbucks was one of it. I'm talking about that time period. And I remember sitting there going, this is when they raised the price again. I'm like, 5.38? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, it's the same drink. And I saw myself going through all of the emotions again. But I'd done enough work at that point. I was like, okay, why am I so triggered by this? They're a corporation. They can charge me whatever they want. They can raise their prices. Why am I so triggered? What is it about this? Yes, it's the same thing. But if I went to go buy a car check 10 years ago, it would have been cheaper than it is now. But what was making me get so triggered about this? And I sat with it. I did my processing, and I worked through how I would journal through it right in the drive-through. And I realized something, that my victimness would come up during that time period, but it also was attached to money, because I always felt like someone wasn't taking care of me, that I was being taken advantage of. Because my story is I have a lot of trauma. And if you have had any trauma in your background, you will have a very poor relationship sometimes when it comes with money and wealth. And I'll tell you why in a minute. And I realized in that moment that I was feeling like I was the victim. So I said, you know what? You just made 35 something thousand dollars, whatever that month was. You can afford this. Why are you acting like this? I was like, okay, I get to buy this as a wealthy woman. And then my kids were in the car, and I decided to buy the drink behind me. Drinks, it was like $15. I was like, oh shit, okay. And then I was like, you know what? What about the people behind me? And then they were 20 people behind me. I paid for them. I felt like Oprah that moment. I was like, you know what? I'm an abundant woman. Wealth is all around me. I can tip people. I can do whatever. I'm safe. It's okay to pay $5.38. Money's always here for me. I left. My kids were like, that was the best feeling ever. We were so excited. By the time I pulled out of the lot and I made it to the light, I had 10K come through my Stripe account. I have a screenshot of it. I was like, oh, was it really that easy? Were my belief systems really blocking me that much from the wealth that was available to me? A month later, I had a $301,000 month, and I started my business that year. You just don't realize what is tethering you down to the ground. What is keeping your consciousness like this as opposed to be like this? Where are your mom's beliefs? Where are your dad's beliefs, your grandparents' beliefs, your spouse's beliefs? What is keeping you right here? The system, society. This is not for everybody. I'll tell you that right now. It's not for everybody to be expanded. Many people will take this information and go do something about it. Many won't, because they like living in the knowingness in the box that's been created for them. And this is why their wealth consciousness is not an expansive. This is why they believe we have to go from 10,000 one month, next month 15,000, the next month we go to 20, then the next month is 50. And you know what? Maybe in a couple of years I'll get to 1 million. I don't think like that. I went from 10K to 50K months, 50K to 150K months, because I don't look at the increments. And there's a book called The Big Leap, and they talk about upper limits. We all successful people create upper limits, and you do it with your wealth, you do it with your success, because you're like, it has to be done this way because that's what you believe. But what if you could have your biggest cash month next month and then keep that the standard? You can't see it right now because you don't have evidence of it. And most of the time, many of you operate from, I need the evidence to believe that it's true. Use somebody else's evidence. Use Kylie's evidence. Use somebody that you know, well, she did it, I can. Because your brain will tell you it's not possible. But the only way to expand beyond your consciousness is to see the availability of the wealth there for you. But if you live like I was, being triggered by a tea, when I tell that story, people are like, wow, I used to go to Costco too. Costco used to be another trigger. Food was a big trigger because my mom wouldn't let us buy like organic fruit and stuff because my mom was so cheap. and she wouldn't let us spend money on food. If she didn't spend money on food, organic things were a big deal. I remember we were coming home from vacation once, and we were in Miami. We were stopping over there, and I went and ordered an $8 bowl of fruit. And my mom was like, it was organic. My mom's like, well, I'm not paying for anything else for you. I was like, what? She was always controlling with the money. I mean, she's a lovely lady, but she didn't realize that she was infusing her belief systems in the way I was doing things. And I was a grown woman. You just don't realize how your parents are really affecting what you're thinking. So the way to expand into your, I believe I was born to be rich. I have no problem spending money. What else could be blocked by millionaire status? Okay, we'll get to you, Sheila. So it's not that you weren't born to be rich. Many of you have that belief system. I always knew. My mom is a multimillionaire now. She made a lot of money. She created wealth. I saw all the women in my life are very successful. But me, I had to make the money. My thing was, and your thing is, you're going to be the one making the money, whether or not there's people that are wealthy in your life. But there's something that was sitting there having me believe that I couldn't. Costco was one of those things, going to Costco, buying the money in bulk, buying the things in bulk because we wanted the deal. I wanted the discount. You know how many things I've purchased that have a red tag in my closet and I never wore? I just bought them because they were on sale, because that's what we think we should be doing. Like buying things on a regular price. It was like, no, why would I do that? Like, you want to get the deal like I did at getting the matcha tea. I wanted the discount. All of these things. And they might seem like, well, how does this apply to my business? How does this apply to what I'm doing? I'll tell you right now. Many of you are over delivering in when you're doing your programs. You're not believing that clients will pay for a certain amount. They won't pay a certain rate because you won't. If you don't make a high level of investment, you can't expect clients to make a high level investment in you because you don't have evidence of people doing it. The first thing that I did was I went and bought a $50,000 program. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I was spending $25,000 a month on mentors because I'm like, I had the money coming in. It was like, let me go. And that expanded me like this. Remember one mentor, I gave him $20,000. I made $150,000 next month. It's like you live in the limits, but if you're not going to make the investments, then can't expect your clients to. If you live with the scarcity mindset of money, then you're like, well, no one's going to buy that. No one's going to pay for that. I helped Kylie see, like, yeah, people can pay for it. Kylie has an abundant thinking mindset. If you are in scarcity, then scarcity is going to keep you there. And scarcity comes with that victimness. If you had any kind of victimness, and you ever have a story where you're like, that person did something to me, you're blaming somebody, well, that didn't work out, this is the way I was raised, this is what happened to me, you've blocked yourself from the abundance that's coming because you already have a pre-existing condition of limitation and lack. So the way you get to here is to start saying, where is abundance in your life right now? Where is the wealth? All of you have so much wealth. All of you live in a wealthy state, but you just don't realize it yet because you're measuring your wealth against someone who has more. But I'll tell you, when I was starting all over again, my bank account was on life support. I had more days in the month left than I did to pay. And I remember using credit cards to try and pay for things. And it was really exhausting and hard at the time because I was starting all over again. And what I realized is that I had to create and develop the belief systems now, so that if money came or went, it wouldn't matter. I would still know that it was always there to support me. I would never have to have money to feel safe. I would never have to see the money in my bank account to have that safety. Because a lot of the times you look at your account, you look what's happening around you, and you let that be your level of consciousness, as opposed to what else could come in. So the way to expand into that next level of consciousness is to say, you know what? I can see it happening right now. Look at all the wealth that I have around me right now. Look at what's around me. Look at all the things that I can do. Not look at what I can't do, what's missing. Well, it's not enough. You have to flip those belief systems into the more abundant state. Wow, look at this client that I just got. Like, amazing. Well, many of you will go, well, I want more. I want 5 more clients. But you didn't celebrate the one that just walked through the door for you. Because when you're a higher achiever, many of you are doctors in here. I see a lot of DRs. I wasn't good enough. I should have done better. How many of you do that? Very rare do you sit there and celebrate yourself. Oh, well, I'm not good enough. I should have done more. Well, I should have figured this out a long time ago. I should have had the success already. I should have done this already. Be honest. Because I'll tell you, That's also a limitation created in your wealth and your success. Because when you think you should have been there already, then you're not in an expansive state. That's in like, oh, well, that's done. To allow more to come in, you have to let your soul sing. What does that mean? What do you desire? If I sat you down right in front of me, I got my little selenite, it's a magic wand, and I went like this, what would you tell me you would want? Not about your business. And don't tell me you want a new carpet because the dog shit on it. What would you want? If freedom, what would you want? What would you want? Everybody put in the chat what they want. Declare it. What would you want? Don't overthink it. If I could give you this, what would you want? What would you want? And what does freedom look like? A big house. Put something specific aside from freedom. More time. But put your more, everybody has more time and freedom. We get it. What's something else? Everybody put the more time and freedom because I get this, but you guys are strapped right now. Travel and see the world. Multiple real estate properties. Same. I want more. Because that's easy money. What else? There's 50 something of you on live, and I only see a few. Meet amazing people. You're not doing that now, Lynn? It could be relationships. It could be anything. What would make you feel wealthy right now? You could have it. Fully paid off house. Multiple homes. Multiple homes. Calling my dad and telling him we are good and debt's paid off. I have 2 houses to be near. My children travel around the world. Healthy. I love that.
I mean, I'm gonna pipe in real quick because that one just kind of hit home, to be honest with you guys. Not many people know this, but Shamina knows this. I was 6 figures in the hole in the beginning of the year. Taking some risks last year that did not pan out. I was one of those people that had a whole bunch of cash hit my bank account. The first time I've ever seen 6 figures in my bank account. First time anybody in my family had ever seen 6 figures in their bank account. Even extended because I have a really bad farming generational background where you have to work hard to get money, blah, 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 all the stories. Okay. So I had this money hit my bank account and all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, I got to give it to somebody. And we have that problem in this industry because we're practitioners, we're helpers. So the money hit, somebody told me that they could help me in my business. Okay, 25K here. Someone else told me they could help me with my Facebook ads. Okay, 60K here. Oh wait, this hotel needs 75K for a conference, 75K there. And before I knew it, I was like pulling out personal loans to survive. And I kid you not, guys, this is less than a year ago. And come January, it was awful. Christmas season. It's my favorite time of year, but here I am sitting in the negative bank account. And in my head, I'm telling myself, this is only temporary. This is not who I am. I know how to create money. I'm going through other things and I had to be very, very careful about who I talked to about this situation. I couldn't even talk to people who lived in my same house because I knew that they were going to flip my mind into a bad state. So I had to keep my mind in the right state and talk to people like Shamina and a few others who would keep it in the positive state. Okay, so going into January, I'm $156,000 in the hole. And that is more money than 95% of my family members make an entire year. And my mom was very, very, very upset about it. And so the way I manifested this and reworked it was like, I'm picturing the message. I texted my mom a message, but I never actually sent it. I just texted it and took the picture of it that said, Mom, you don't need to worry about me anymore. I'm debt free. It happened in 10 days. As soon as I sent that text message, I launched my thing. I literally had $160,000 come in from that one event, that one thing I launched. And just like that, it was gone. I sent the text message. And so that's one of the things that you can work on is like whatever situation you're in right now, For example, I want to hit $1 million a month. And my problem, Shamina, is I want it now.
Go get it now. I mean, it's
I
gonna
know,
happen.
go get it now. I know. The reason why is because I want to be able to text my brother. I want to be able to text him, hey, I got it. We can get you into a house now. And I can start my real estate journey. So whatever your motivation is, make it a reality before it's a reality. And I think that's the big message here is how did Shamina go from nothing to multi-millions in such a short time? And
So
then
crazy.
the other thing is we both want to give you guys permission to quantum leap.
That's it.
To to go from I don't want to just have a 10K month. I want to have a 100K month because you can.
Yes. Yes. That's the
You don't
thing.
have to take the step by step,
Ah,
work hard, work hard, work hard, make a little bit more, make a little screw that. Just go all the way for it and hit the big numbers because you can.
because you
You
can.
guys are all experts. I know you are. If you're in my world, you are an expert. Now you're gonna have a bank account that reflects your expertise.
Yes. Amen. Drop mic. Honestly, like that is so good what she just shared with you because she already thinks in that state already. The reason why I tell you things that make you ruffle your feathers a little bit, because you'll go out there and have these thoughts and be like, yeah, yeah, it's going to work for me too. And then it doesn't work. And you're like, why didn't it work? Kylie told me it could work because you have alternate beliefs that are very strong. So I'm a root, get to the root, and I'm a problem solver. I like to get you out of your own way. I want you to be completely, this is like no longer affecting me because that's what I did. I realized that I could be neutral. A lot of our nervous system gets affected when it comes to money. There's only a few things that we get fear about. There's not enough. There's not enough. There's not enough. I'm afraid if it goes away, what will happen? You won't die. I'll tell you that right now. But many of us think we will. We think if we don't have money, yeah, we need shelter, we need those things. But in the moment, you won't die. You can find ways around it. She was in the debt, a big hole. She didn't die. She found a way around it. But it's taking those risks and realizing that you can. And I think sometimes when we hit a rock bottom and you're like, okay, so what happened? I didn't die. I didn't lose my house. What next now? Okay, I'm not afraid anymore. You basically take that fear away from the wealth of controlling you. I want to get to some of these questions because I think they really help you, but I wanted to share just a couple more things with you about thinking the way you think. And it's feeling. It's getting to the emotional state. She said she wants to see herself celebrating her buying for her brother. One of the things that I wanted to do with my wealth was to take everybody on vacation and pay for it all. I did it a few times. I took my family to Cancun. We hadn't seen each other because of everything was locked down. When we finally could open up, I spent $45,000 having everybody come down. I paid for everything. That is what I feel like money can do for me. I flew everybody first class. We went to a 5-star hotel. We stayed for 14 days. Do not stay anywhere with your family for 14 days ever, ever. That's if you're gonna walk away with a tip from that. Doesn't matter if it's free. Do not spend 14 days with your family anymore. 5 is a good amount. 14, yeah. So, but there's so many things that you can experience in life when you start expanding beyond where it is. I use wealth in so many different ways to expand the way I'm thinking. You start spending, I'm going to get to your comments. My bank account always has multiple 6 figures in it. Always. My accountant makes me take some of the money out to go to send to my financial advisor to do things. But on any given moment, you can look at my bank account and there'll be multiple 6 figures. I had almost $1 million in there at one point. And I just, because it was so cool to see that much money in my bank account. I run a very lean business. So I like to keep everything that I have. And I know that when money comes in, it always stays, just know how resilient you are. If you can see it and believe that that future is possible for you, all that you need to do now is become that person that can quantum leap to that result. That is really it. I know I sound really easy. It's just like snap your fingers and do a dance, but it really is. It really is that easy. I'd have debt. All my credit cards are paid off. Everything is paid off in my life. I don't have any debt. And I wasn't a woman that had that before. So I just had to start working on my beliefs. I would invite you guys, it's one exercise I want you to do. Write down everything you believe about money to be true. I do this for all my in-person events everywhere, and it changes every time. Write down all your belief systems. What people told you about money, what your mom said, what your dad said, what your grandma said, what your spouse said, what your friend said. When you went out to dinner when you're 18 and everybody got a separate bill and you're like, what the heck's going on here? When you bought something and felt you got robbed, write down every story. Because guess what? Everything holds an energy. Every belief, every experience holds an energy. And the more that you allow yourself to be conscious and aware of the consciousness about what your belief systems are, the more you can shift it. The more you can move through it. The more you can transmute that energy out of you. The more that you are now available to instill a new belief and a new thought. But until you realize what you're working with, I can tell you all day you're going to make $50,000, $100,000 a month. But if you are not going to get behind that belief, I got a problem. So I first got to figure out with Kylie, I am like, what are your beliefs to be true, Kylie? I had to sit with her. I'm like, all right, we move through these things and move through them. Hello, almost $400,000 a month. I mean, they can happen that fast. Don't you agree that's a quantum leap? I would say that is.
One of the things that got me there was a comment in here about what do you do when you live in a, like my husband, okay, well, let's call it out as it is. He has gone through a lot of healing himself. But he used to tell me that all we need you to make for this family is $150,000 a year. And he would tell me that all the time. And it would piss me off so much because I hate it when people put limits on me. Small-minded limits, I will prove to you I can bust through them. So that was my goal, was I was going to prove him wrong. And then it was like last year where, okay, I need this, I need this, and I need this, and I need this. And it was giving money here, giving money there. And it was all because I wanted to prove him wrong. And then it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I need to do this for me.
Yeah.
And when it became for me, now the conversation with him is, wait, if you're going to make 2 million or 5 million or 10 million a year,
Yeah.
what can I do with my life? And so it was started with me. I had to shift everything. I had to completely change everything I thought and grew up about when it came to money. Everything.
And she's doing it fast, by the way. Like you
That's
don't want
my
to
hope.
change you don't want to change your spouse. You change you and your beliefs, and your spouse will become with you or
And they'll
not.
follow.
They'll follow. That's what I always say. Do not try and convince anybody. Like when you start having these shifts, the first thing you want to do is like, oh my gosh, you need to read this, you need to hear this, you need to listen to this. But then people will be like, keep your little weird shit away from me right now. Like I don't believe that. I don't believe that. You can't force your belief systems like this on other people. And you can't tell everybody about what you're believing. That's why Kylie joined my group. She's like, I want to be somewhere where we can talk big numbers, where people aren't going to sit there and go, well, you're greedy. Why would you want that? Do I need a G-Wagon that I spent $300,000? No, I don't need it. And someone said, well, you could fed a lot of people. I'm like, I could have, but I chose not to because that's not what I want to do with my money. I don't need to go. I am a philanthropist. And I donate money, but I don't feel like I have to donate money in order to be wealthy. I don't have to exchange it out. I don't have a condition on the wealth. People put conditions on their wealth. You don't have to put a condition on having it. This is where you get to be unapologetic about the wealth. But when you have conditions, they come in. Now I want to go because I'm going to go through this chat and you see really quickly how I'm going to move through this. And the guilt they put on us for choosing not to donate. Right. I swear the best time to work through this is when you're at Walgreens or like, would you like to round up? No, I choose not to. Just to like go into the matcha tea, just so you're okay with not feeling you have to do it out of obligation. You never want money. You never want to do anything out of obligation because that is not high frequency. That's not a high consciousness around your wealth. And so this is not where you want to be. So what you want though, is to be able to say, not right now. You get to do what you want to do with your wealth. You will talk to people who are extremely, extremely wealthy, the ones that are in abundance, and they will tell you that when they feel like it, they do it. If it feels aligned, I'll invest in it. If it feels good, I'll do that. If it doesn't, I won't. Never do things out of guilt. Guilt is a patterning behavior of a relationship that you had with somebody in your life. One last little thing I'll say is I believe money is masculine, and I believe the way we receive it is feminine. And when I figured this out 3 years ago, a lot of things changed in my life. This is a really big conversation and not one we can really dive into fully here. But if you look at money and the masculine, a healthy masculine, money is there to protect us, to provide security, to take care of us, for us to watch over, to watch over us, to take care of us. Now, the feminine is knowing that the money's just going to show up. The money's there. I know that I'm always taken care of by money. I know that because I've become in my feminine state, which is the knowing, the trusting, the quantum field, not being in the hustle and grind and chasing the money. So it takes me out of, I need to work so hard to have it, but I'm able to lean back after I've done the work on a launch, lean back and trust the money will show up. Trust that I'm being taken care of. I know that sounds very counterintuitive to how many of you have been running your business in your life. But when women come into my world and they start shifting into this energy, they realize that they didn't need to hustle and work so hard for everything. Because if you're constantly grinding and chasing money and going after it, you are in that wounded masculine state. You're not allowing the money to come to you. And when you can understand that the energetics of wealth and that bigger conversation, you'll understand that right now you might be blocking the wealth coming in because you're chasing it. And if you look at men and money in the same way, and there's some males on this call, men don't like to be chased. Money does not like to be chased. It likes to come to you, and you attract it to you. You can go work, you're going to hustle and make a lot of money. As a lawyer, I made a lot of money. I went to work really hard to make that money. I worked, when I was making, $200,000, $300,000, I was working maybe 5 hours a month, because I had a high ticket program. I knew how to operate, and I knew what my client was and how to do my business. But I also knew that I couldn't keep chasing things. I couldn't keep doing that energy because it wouldn't be working for me. So right now you might be pushing the wealth away because your aggressiveness and you always having to know everything, having to figure everything out, you will be pushing that wealth further away. And instead of allowing and trusting and knowing that you will always have this wealth. How would you feel right now if you sat knowing that no matter what you did, you would be supported by money? You'd be supported by the masculine, no matter what you did. Just said, you just blew my mind. When I figured this out, nobody's teaching this out there. When I figured this out, everything changed. Quantum leaps were happening right, left, and center, everybody in my world. But you have to do the work. It's not easy. You can't just sit there and go have bubble baths and think you're in your feminine. It doesn't work like that. I tried. And plus, I'm an A-type. I don't want to have to mess this tub up and then have to go clean it again. If you are somebody who works really hard, you're a high achiever, you are somebody who is constantly in an almost near adrenal fatigue because you're just working so much. Maybe not sleeping so much. You're just constantly on the grind, having to work so hard. You, my friend, are somebody that would benefit from a shift in consciousness. And you would open up so much more wealth that can come into your life. And for the men that are listening, there's a state of knowing that you are in that masculine. I've done all I needed to do. And men, when I work with them, they have the state. They know the trust. I've done what I needed to do. I don't need to keep proving myself anymore. I don't need to keep pushing this. It's going to be okay. When you have that mindset, it's going to be okay no matter what. I'm going to be taken care of. I'm supported. Everything's good. And when men can provide that for themselves, they become the safest masculine in the room. Their relationship changes with their significant other, with money, with how they operate, with their clients. It's a completely different game. So I'll leave you with that little piece of info. And I'm going to go right through this real quickly because I think there's some things here that I can shed some light for you. So far, are you guys enjoying this? Just want to do a check-in. Yes, you can do a thumb or a high. Okay. Yes. Good. Okay, awesome. Okay, sometimes I want to tell you everything and we only have so much time. And I could literally talk all day about this. And that's why I do my events and stuff. I literally could talk all about this all day long because I'm like, imagine if I just can keep shifting you and keep shifting you. Once you have awareness, you don't go back unless you have a blueprint and a patterning of having that same behavior over and over again. And when you have that pattern, you have to break it into new belief systems. But once I can shift your consciousness, like I didn't even think that thing, I didn't even believe that could be true. bam, you're like on another level of consciousness when it comes to wealth.